Welcome to Wide Flank.
You like Castlevania, don't you? You enjoy role-playing games. I see that you enjoy Konami games.
All right, hello, welcome to episode 2 of Wide Flank. Since it's, episode 2, we've got everything nailed down. This is going to go off without a hitch. Over with the one who's blending into the background is Alon, and the one who's not blending into the background is Danny, and I'm Teddy. But do we need to tell them about it, our fans about us at all? You guys probably know who we are by now. Famous.
We're a video game book club. This is episode 2. We're getting going. We played Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and Danny can tell us about it.
Yeah, so we played Castlevania Symphony of the Night. We all specifically played the PlayStation 4 port of the game, for those of you who know the differences. The English version, obviously. The game originally came out in 1997 for the PlayStation 1, published by Konami. And it was the 13th Castlevania game released across various platforms. Which I guess they had original arcade machines, but it's directed by Toru Hagihara. It was a 2D scroller, and it's widely considered to be one of the best games of all time. And it's made obvious by the fact that it's been ported to like a dozen consoles.
Yeah, the Sega Saturn,
and
so therefore it's perfect.
Yeah, the Sega exactly, and was re-released 21 years after it came out.
It's even on iOS and Android now too, so it's actually everywhere, and everyone can play it.
Yeah, and we played it.
Yeah, we played it.
We played the hell out of it. I'm tired. I have like newborn sleepy eyes from grinding it so hard and beating it last night.
Yeah, I
played it in really long spurts.
Yeah.
I have here that it's kind of like running a marathon. Like, you obviously want to do it. You're glad you did it. Although I haven't run a marathon. Danny, maybe you should. You can verify if this is accurate.
What have you even done? Yeah.
Yeah. But at the end of it, you're like, or towards the end, you're like, I can't wait for this to be over. Like, I doubt most people on mile 25 are like, let's add another 10 miles onto this.
Loving it. Actually, let's run 25 miles back from where we came. Let's turn around.
Yeah.
Do it. Let's run it backwards. That's what this game is like. Spoiler alerts, by the way.
Yeah. We should say we're gonna spoil the shit out of this game. Hopefully you've played it, and if you haven't, and you don't care about spoilers, then listen. And if you do, go beat the game and then come back.
And also, if you haven't played it, should you play it? We can start there. We started there with Half-Life 2.
I would just add, it's not just story spoilers. Like, the game is full of Easter eggs and like cool moments that we're going to talk about. So if you're someone who cares about that but not story, that's more what we mean.
Yeah, there isn't a story to spoil in this game.
Yeah.
It's spoiled rotten.
Yeah.
Right from the beginning.
Right. So is this a good game?
I don't know. What do you think, Alon?
I want to start with yes. I think it's still a very good game. But then there's so much more context to that yes, which for me begins with it's old and it feels dated in a lot of significant ways. First. Secondly, if I were being truthful and asking myself, would I have 200%ed this game if I weren't doing a podcast and a video game club with my friends? Absolutely 0% chance of that ever happening. And I probably would have stopped playing before I even ended up getting really into it. So, I wouldn't have even given it a fair chance, I don't think. But at the same time, it's kind of beautiful because that's, the point of a book club or movie club or video game club in our case, right? So, I don't think the average person who like watches movies on Netflix while being on their phone is like, I'm gonna go watch Citizen Kane right now, which is like sort of how this felt to me. Like I'm going back in time to play this very, very important, pivotal game in gaming history. But again, I just wouldn't have done that on my own. But yes, I think it's still very good. And eventually I got like really into it.
Yeah, I played Castlevania 1 for about 15 minutes and was like, this is basically unplayable. And then I played Castlevania 4, which a lot of people say is one of the best. And I played for like an hour and I couldn't get into it. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to go into... Because I played Half-Life before I played Half-Life 2. And I was like, I'm just going to go into Symphony of the Night. And... Because this is bad also. And I was like, I guess this is just going to be bad. Like, oh well. And the first 30 minutes of Symphony of the Night, I was like, this sucks. Like, oh no.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, I kept playing because obviously this is, this is what we do.
It's our job.
It's our job. And this is how we pay the bills. And yeah, and then I got into it, right? And it is like, I'm so glad we're doing this, and I am like so psyched for other people to do this with us, because I'm sure there are many games that like running a marathon, we'll be glad we did, but like, there are moments where you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to stop.
There are so many fuck moments. Oh my God, it's so frustrating. Danny, what do you think?
I think it's a good game. I will say I had a hard time.
Yeah, please hate it. Please hate it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be that closer to that end of the spectrum for the three of us. I think that one problem for me is this game is older than me, and it was definitely a challenge to like put myself in that time and that like, I don't know, the right reviewer's mindset for a game from that time. So there are a lot of things that I really liked about it and I thought were clever, but it was really hard for me to not compare it to games that I'd already played that I thought had done more interesting things or clever things or had a better sense of humor. Like especially, and we'll probably get into this more later, but like to me, all of the cool quirks were just done like 10 times better in the Metal Gear series. And because the game reminded me a lot of it, actually. So it was, and sometimes, I don't know, with like Half-Life 2, I had an easier time kind of resetting myself in 2005 or 4. Yeah. This was definitely more challenging for that. And I didn't 200% it. And it was really just because I after a while in the inverted castle, after a couple deaths, I was just like, I just don't care. So.
Teddy and I spoke about that while we were both in it, and we were both like, I might just put it down. And clearly we're just freaks and addicts and have problems and traumas, and we finished it. But like, I do think I didn't
want it to follow me around.
Yeah, like I think that's relevant because, the age thing, I don't have a specific game in mind, but like I beat many games before this game came out. Yeah, that was a really long time ago, but like I remember games before this game and they didn't feel like this, and they weren't non-linear, and they weren't like adventurous and exploratory. So I could put myself in that frame of mind or that year or whatever. But I totally understand and think it's very valid what you said.
Yeah, so I think that this is worth hanging on for a second. So Super Mario 64 came out a year before this game. Or Mario 64. So like that's a fun game to play, Danny. I feel like you like that game, right? Or at least are
That's
not
a really good point, actually.
And not to say that your criticism is wrong, but I think something we will continue to talk about throughout this is like how dated so much of this is. But like Super Metroid, I don't know if you guys played that. That came out in '94 on Super Nintendo.
I definitely played it when it came out. Like
yeah. This came out the same year as GoldenEye. It came out the same year as Final Fantasy VII, and it came out a year before Half-Life, Metal Gear Solid, Ocarina of Time, Resident Evil 2. Like around this time, like all these like best ever games are coming out. Like Ocarina of Time is fucking awesome. Like go back and play Ocarina of Time. It's so fun. Mario 64 is so fun. And this game just it doesn't feel good. There's a lot missing here. That being said, like I did like it. But what I like about this game is very short, and what I didn't like about the game is very, very long. Yet I still did like the game.
Yeah, it's punishing. Like I did find some interviews with like the original developers and stuff, and I pulled some quotes that aren't really relevant to this, but I'll talk about them later. But it does feel like they didn't want to hold your hand at all. You know, like those other games that you mentioned, like Mario 64 or whatever, like they want you to feel fun. Like there's very rewarding, aesthetically pleasing, like fun experience of the game. Losing isn't so punishing, and like it's not so confusing all the time and all that kind of stuff. It does feel like this game is like, no, we're gonna like fuck you up mentally. Like we want to fuck you up. We also are gonna make you replay this, like whether you want to or not. Like Teddy and I finished it and like sort of didn't even want to finish it, you know? Like Danny, you didn't even have a fun time and you still like 150%ed it or something, you know? And it's like, how did we even get here, you know?
Yeah, so let's talk about maybe some of the good stuff then. Like or let's actually no, I changed that. I want to talk.
You want to stay bad?
Yeah.
News or bad news first?
I think one of my major complaints that I found, that I think what you said was like something about dying or something, but just like the failures being catastrophic and seemingly unfair. Like I think there's something about like the save system. You don't know where any of the save rooms are, and the progression of the game relies on you saving your progress relies on you finding one of those save rooms. And there are moments where the game it does heighten the tension, and I do appreciate it to a certain extent. But there are moments where you like have to be bold, and like I think there's like one part where you are the bat and you have to fly through some spikes. And I just explored a bunch of the game, and I hit a spike, and then hit a bunch of spikes until my character with 500 health died. Like, you know, it was like I made one mistake, and it set me back like almost 45 minutes or something. And it was just like this didn't have to be this way.
Yeah.
And there were a few, like, I don't hate replaying things. I don't, if it's fair or if it feels justified. But there were a few moments in the game where I was just like, this, like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go all the way back to the save point that I know where it is instead of taking a risk. And like that to me didn't feel good. It felt like cheesy and shitty.
Yeah, I think what we're talking about is like what age the worst, and like that we all have many things. So Danny, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say about the save points. The thing about doing that, about going back to a previous save point, is you then have to play through and kill all those enemies again. Going back after having accomplished a lot is the same thing. Basically, the same thing as dying. Just you've kept the experience. You know,
fast back.
So. Yeah, it just felt like a...
Or you jump around all of them and avoid them and try and do it really fast.
That's
also not that satisfying.
Which is like what I did for the last like 5 hours probably. It's like, okay, I'm just going to be a bat and just fly at the top of the room where no one can hit me. Like I did that a lot in the last many hours of playing the game. Yeah, the saving is obviously a major problem. I mean, having to go back... Basically, every time you do anything, there's the part of us, I'm sure we all have this, where it's just like, fuck it, like I'm just going to go into this next room. And then there's the nagging voice in the back of your head that's like, just fucking save, you idiot. Because you're going to beat this anyway. You're going to have to go back. You fucking idiot. Go save. And you're just like, fine, I'll fucking save, you know? You have to go all the way down the outer wall to the last save point or the closest save point. And it's just like the amount of time added from doing that is ridiculous for already like a deep, long game. But on the other side, it's so punishing that also finding a save point is sometimes like it's like as good as beating a boss.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I agree. I think this is a really delicate balance to strike.
Yeah.
I think like one thing that's cool that the Souls series does is like Bloodborne and Dark Souls and Sekiro is after you beat a boss, a save point appears where the boss was.
Simple.
So
easy.
like yeah, so like you have all the other stuff, like you know where the save points are and everything, but if you stumble across a boss and you beat them or something like that, which definitely happened in this game, you can then save afterwards.
Yeah.
Like in this game, you could beat a boss and then have no health and die on your way back.
Yeah,
to...
too bad you missed a door in like the corridor that would have been a save point, but you didn't go through that door, so you don't know.
Right. Yeah, there were times where like I did something.
And I was just gonna say I would like to make it clear that we like hardcore games that are really punishing. The Soulsborne. Well, I guess Teddy and I have played a bunch of the Soulsborne games. Teddy's played them all, and so I'm not. Yeah, I'm not a stranger to that mechanic and to dealing with that. But this game was particularly unrewarding and frustrating in that sense.
It's also like you said, you have like replaying the same enemies and stuff. There's not. I mean, once you get to a certain point, you're weak at the start of the game, obviously, and it's just hard and like it's actually like scary, you know. At the beginning of the game, you're like, I have to be really careful to not die. But you get to a point where you just shred everything, and like absolutely any enemy you face, including bosses, are just complete jokes. And so then the going back and replaying them and whatnot is just like. It's just tedious. It's nothing else because I'm not like getting more skillful at the game. Well, like I've watched Bloodborne and Dark Souls and stuff like that. I haven't played them, but I get the sense that in those games you get like actually better at fighting. You're like, I'm better at dodging now. I'm better at this. Like replaying this is fine because now I'm so good and and there's like a satisfaction to that. But in this game, it's like, nope, just, backdash, kill, jump, kill, backdash, kill, jump, kill. Like it's just like, oh my god, I have to do this over and over and over and over and over again just to get through to where I last was, Right.
There is a lot about the metagame, like the navigation of the map and stuff that is fun and challenging.
Definitely.
And like that you have to overcome obstacles and challenging ones to like make it. But yeah, that smaller gameplay loop of the combat, it's like the work you have to do that isn't fun. Like the combat isn't good, right? The hitboxes are weird and like not imprecise. Like, I mean, I think the hitboxes are actually clear, but like you can't do a lot of cool stuff with a lot of the weapons. It's like down attack, side attack. And
50 other special moves that you don't even know about until you're 20 hours into the game.
So I actually had a voice memo for this, and I just listened to it, and it's me sounding very confused, and I say, is there like a very extensive game manual that came with the original game that had buttons and told you this stuff? Because like that was something that existed back in the day. And like those were fat. Those were big booklets. Like they don't make those anymore. I don't know if you remember, Danny, when game booklets used to exist in cases.
In the case?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this I know that it came with a manga, like just a full
really?
like Castlevania manga. Yeah, but like
I didn't know that.
It probably also came with a game manual. I think actually that's where one of the interviews that I found is from. I think it's from like the manual that came with it or something. There's like an interview in the back or whatever.
Yeah, and I think the reason that I think this all said, like you said, the beginning of the game is scary and intense, and it does force you to like really work the systems in like a challenging way and like
Mhm.
make you learn them. Like IAKU asked us in Discord what our favorite boss fight was, and like I just said none of them because you beat them all the first try. I have no idea what's going on. I just cast my spell, and then they're dead. And like
You
maybe
have the
a couple
potion?
bosses, yeah. So,
Yeah.
you use the potion on boss fights.
Yeah, it's
That
like
was your
if
spell?
it's not a flying boss, it's over in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, every
It's
boss.
crazy. Yeah.
So do you also not have a favorite boss, Danny?
I do have a favorite boss.
Who is it?
I
Reveal.
like the succubus fight. I thought that one was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When-
kind of some
I
good
like
lore.
some good lore, some good backstory, some good psychological warfare.
Mm-hmm.
And then just a little, I don't know, like she clones herself in a different, and you have to like figure out which one is her and stuff. So it's just a little more, it forced me to be a little more engaged with it. But like all rocks and stuff, I just like slash, potion, and then jump potion. Like I don't know if it's called the potion, but that's
Yeah, I call
that's
it
what I'm
potion.
calling it.
Potion.
Blue.
I'm saying the thing you throw, the blue
Sub-weapon.
fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think subweapon
Um,
is like the Wikipedia name for the spell type things that you pick up or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, the only like boss micro that I got better at was jumping to throw the potion in different spots depending how close they were, and being able to double slash as you jump. As you're approaching the apex, you slash, and then that way, as you're coming over it and start coming down, you can slash again, and you can hit enemy the boss twice.
Yes.
Beyond that, it was just like there's just nothing else going on.
And for a similar reason, my favorite boss was Galamoth, who is by 1,000 times the hardest boss in the game.
Yeah.
Like, he's the only hard boss. He's the only one where I died multiple times and was like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't just die multiple times. I got, like, destroyed. And you're just trapped in his lightning. It does, like, 70 damage per hit. You're just, like you just get destroyed. So that was the only one where I had to, like, you know, like, gamer meme, like, sit forward in my chair, like, how the fuck am I going to beat this guy, you know?
Right.
But,
Well, yeah.
it's
You like
the same reason, basically, as you guys are saying. Every other one was just a joke. It was just like a room, a normal room against a normal mob.
Did you yeah, I think it like forced I keep wanting to say Gilgamesh.
Yeah,
but
it's Galamoth. Yeah.
Galamoth. And it like forces you to engage with like you never have to change your gear really or anything. Like you could
Nothing.
put on you have to put on like a lightning armor and use like a lightning potion, like resist
Right.
potion, right? It like
Right.
it forces you to, and this is what I like about hard games in general, but it forces you to contend with the systems they have in place.
Yes. It's the same with, there's a lot of transformations in this game. You know, you can change into a bat, and you can change into a mist, and you can change into a wolf. And you also basically never use those except for the few points where you have to use them. But again, Galamoth, the only hard mob in the entire game, I did dodge stuff with mist, and I did fly up with bat to then change to a slash attack. You know, like I used all my gear. I used everything I've learned.
Yeah.
Whereas like in everything else, it's just like square. Every room I turn around and triangle backdash because it goes faster. Literally every step I took in the game from like hour 5 onwards was backwards dashing because it's just faster movement. Like that's all I wanted. Just fly through it, you know? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but yeah.
our favorite spells, if we're since we've been talking about them. Danny, you were a potion user.
Potion was most
Sorry,
used, but
subweapon I think is what
Yeah,
was
Subweapon,
subweapon,
yeah,
subweapon.
subweapon.
my most used subweapon was definitely the potion. But I liked the cross shield. Like they just swirls around you for a
Oh,
few
the
seconds
Bible.
and damages everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bible, which is just so helpful in the inverted castle in the library, when the schmoons, I think they're called the
Oh,
schmoons.
Shmoo.
Yeah,
Oh my
Shmoo.
god,
Yeah.
they're so annoying.
I didn't think
I
they
could
were
roll
that
around
bad.
with that. I would just get hit by them and
Yeah,
take one
yeah,
damage and just like get knocked back. And that was
Yeah.
that was at the point when I was doing the same thing. I was just trying to like breeze through as fast as I could, and so
Right.
that definitely helped me get through that.
They dropped the best item in the game.
What do they drop?
It's called
Because I didn't get whatever they dropped.
Chrysagrum.
Oh,
It's like
I did get that.
I didn't get it, but it's the best.
I used it on
best sword,
Dracula.
I think.
It was nice.
Oh,
It
it
was-
was sick.
Yeah. What about you, Teddy? Subweapon.
The Bible. I would just jump. I would literally just run into the boss and take a ton of damage, just like brute force every boss, and
Mhm.
also it was good for like flying guys around you or any of the things that broke up and would damage you, but you needed to hit them.
Right.
Like it would just
Right.
guarantee
Yeah.
that it would clear out the area around you.
I think I mostly used the axe or the lightning just for like range that I could control, you know, when you're like,
Right.
because I mean the amount of genres this game covers is like at least like 6, but there's tons of like platformer levels where you're just jumping, and it's like so annoying when there's like mobs above you throwing the bone things at you that keep tagging you for one and knocking you back and stuff. So I like the ability to be able to like aim at them and hit them, but at the point in the game early when you're weakest and I was the most like scared, the Bible was my best friend because I felt protected. I was like, I need this. And it's the only thing I knew how to do at that point too, you know? So yeah, I'd say Axe or Bible probably for me.
Shout
Dude,
out
those,
to the.
those fucking crows on like the north
Oh yeah.
part of the tower.
Oh my God. So annoying.
I think
and the Medusa heads. So annoying.
Yeah. The scariest for me was the bone guys, the like Jack in the Box skeletons or whatever, skeletons. I don't know, the ones that
think
throw the
Cracker
thing that
Barrels.
bounce around. I don't know.
I don't know what they're called.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
But
It is like Jack Skeleton or what something.
But
like
Yeah, yeah.
in the room with the spike platforms that
Oh
go
yeah,
in
those are
and out.
actually scary.
and then like
Yeah.
they have the Nova skeletons everywhere. I was like, oh, this is like really hard and
See that
killing me.
that was hard and scary. I totally agree. But that is also around the point in my run where I was like, I'm just gonna bat through this whole level. Like I just bat. And did you guys get the relic where your echo does damage? The sonar thing does damage.
Yeah.
I
So
did not.
you could just go through and just triangle with the bat, and it just does like a huge beam of damage, and you can just shred.
Oh, I never even like attacked. anybody with it.
So like once I did that once through those parts, like I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna never deal with these parts ever again, you know?
Did the speedrunner I was watching, he could like move really fast with the bat? Is that another relic you can get?
I think that's a glitch.
A
of some
glitch?
sort.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
it was like it looked like it was a damage glitch. You would like get hit and launch forward or something.
Yeah, there was
What
a lot
I
of
could
like
see.
he did a lot of like wolf tech stuff too, where he would like use the fast momentum of the wolf to then like jump really, really high and stuff like that. There's the speedrunning community seems like incredible and is probably part of the reason why the game is still like relevant, because it's in like games done quick every year and stuff like that. And I watched a full speedrun and it was really cool. And like there's a lot of like really complicated, I would say like fighting game techs. Like it felt like wave dashing and like that kind of like crazy pixel perfect stuff where like, you know, older games have that because it's like, this is how many frames per second the game is. You need to hit this frame, this frame, this frame, this frame to like get here. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I did feel that way, like especially fighting game mechanics. Like when you're casting like Dark Metamorphosis, like I really dialed that in a way that was satisfying. Like the blood spell, like the
You
lifesteal
told
spell.
me about it, but I had never casted it.
I cast
yeah,
it by
it's
accident a bunch.
Yeah, it's amazing because you can heal with
So
it.
how do you cast it?
Left, then left up, then up, then up,
So-
right, then right. So it's like
Oh,
up
so
around the
full-
D-pad.
Full circle, okay.
Full
I
half
meant
circle.
A half circle, yeah.
But you have to get like not only do you have to hit left and then up, but you have to hit left up. So it's like kind of hard to execute.
Do you use joystick or D-pad?
I use D-pad because
too.
when I use joystick especially for spells, it would often, any time I hit the up direction, it would cast my sub-weapon and not my magic that I was trying to use.
Gotcha. Right. Yeah, spells. I wish I knew how to do any of them. I didn't use one the entire game. And I 200%ed the game.
Yeah, I didn't use a lot of items either, and this is kind of a problem I have in general with video games. Is like I'm always saving stuff, but and I think a lot of people have this problem where they hold on to stuff. They're like, maybe I'll use this later or something.
Right.
But the game does not encourage experimentation, right? It is super punishing.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Yeah.
The last thing you want to do when you're halfway to your a new save point is I'm going to try out this new shuriken that I picked up, and maybe it'll do some damage.
Right.
You find items that I started using, they heal 10 HP. It's
the food. A lot of the food just
I have
does
400
nothing.
health. 10
I couldn't
health.
figure out how to even eat a peanut. No idea how to eat a peanut.
I figured it out.
That was so on PlayStation. You can
out.
Compare the trophies that you've gotten with your friends. So I looked at you guys and Teddy. I had one trophy that you didn't get, which was beat Richter without the holy glasses. And,
yeah.
And the one trophy that you got that I didn't have was successfully eat a peanut. Which was pretty rare. It was honestly 10th rarest trophy. No one knows how to do.
That's awesome.
So funny. The trophies are actually for that kind of game, they're nice. They're actually I've never really used the PlayStation trophies, but they're I was reading through them and I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. I kind of want to go do that, the replayability.
Yeah, well,
factor.
they were all done after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Also.
Yeah, for sure.
So they had a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think back in the day, this was you tell your friends about, right? And this is kind of that version.
That's the equivalent of it, I guess. Yeah.
But
let's talk more about the items and stuff because that's what I have on my what age the worst.
Okay.
And there's a lot of things clearly a lot of problems that we have with the game, but just equipping stuff, your backpack, the stuff you pick up, the relics, the spells. I understand that there's games that don't hold your hand at all. And, I think you guys mentioned Bloodborne, Dark Souls. I think that those games are like that. I don't really know. I haven't played them, but this game, you just have 80 things in your backpack and you can't organize them. You can't even change the order that they're in. And 98% of them are useless and you can't sell them or even drop them. They're just worse weapons or stuff you never use that, again, you think you're saving up, okay, resist dark, I'm gonna need that. Resist fire, I'm gonna save the shield potion for when it gets really hard. No, I just never use any of it. And I beat the game easily. It took time, but I shredded the game. So I just found it so annoying. The occasional time when you need that one specific weapon or you need a potion or whatever, and you just have to scroll through pages of useless shit to find it. I was just I haven't played an RPG in a long time, but this feels so bad to do. And then there's also the RPG elements of attack and strength and luck and intelligence and confidence. I don't even know what anything does or if it matters. And yeah, I don't know. I just found the whole menu system. It took me hours to figure out how to view my map. I bought the map and one of my voice notes is I think I got scammed by the fucking librarian because I bought the map and I can't equip it. I can't I kept hitting pause. I looked through everything. I was no, he scammed me. There's no map. This game is fucking bullshit, whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I just thought
so
I'm
funny.
cool with the idea of a hard game and not helping you in certain ways, but at the same time it's just unnecessary disorder and so many unnecessary items that just pile up and just it's just clutter. It's just clutter everywhere.
I was thinking a lot about Steve Jobs when interacting with the item and equipment menus, and how like he would be enraged by it, because it's like, if you want to use a potion, you have to stop what you're doing, go to item, scroll all the way down to potion, equip it, unpause, use it, pause, go back, re-equip whatever you had unequipped.
Which is
just like
not,
really pulls you out of every encounter.
and it's not even where you swapped it, right? I go Alucard sword
Right.
to green tea mochi ice cream, that because I need some health. Then I throw my green tea mochi ice cream on the floor, run over it to consume it. Then I go back to equip. My sword is just wherever the fuck. They just put it wherever, random number generator free slot. I have to find it. My head hurts. It's like I've been playing for 9 hours straight.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, Alucard sword. I can't even like find it, equip. Okay, let's continue fighting. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, like something as simple as item slots. Like this is like your gear that you can equip right on your body versus this is a weapon. Like just like divide it up a little bit.
Which
like,
they did. Again, another frustration is like they did do that with like the type of armor that you have, right? Like I had like 10 different types of armor.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
But it's in a separate thing. It's really easy to find. It's like the spike breaker armor or the lightning mail or the icebreaker armor. And I know what it does. It takes 2 seconds to switch and I'm good. But for some reason, all your weapons, usables, consumables, special one-time use weapons, shields are all in just one like clusterfuck. So yeah, rant over.
I did like, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
calm down.
I'll
Alon.
calm down. I'm calming down.
Maybe we should.
I need some like
We should end it here.
ashwagandha or whatever the hell. So what do you guys hate about this game?
I totally agree.
One other. Yeah, I think
You got something, Danny?
one thing I did like about the items. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Are you making fun of me?
No.
No.
No. Go for it.
Is something wrong with my? Is something wrong on my end?
Not at all.
Not at all.
You're doing
I
so
think,
good.
yeah, you're amazing. You like stopped talking, and we started talking again, and then I was like, "You got something, Danny?" Because I could go if you don't want to.
Yeah.
That's all. You're a beautiful smart boy. I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I agree. What age the best?
Oh man, this
Danny?
better be good. No, I was just gonna say with the items, I did like the silver and gold ring have the descriptions that go
Very
together
cool.
to
Very
tell you
cool.
what to do with them. There's an item that has like the Lord of the Rings reference and stuff. So there's some fun stuff
Definitely.
reading the item descriptions, but so it wasn't all terrible.
Yeah, they executed some stuff definitely really well, and then that just felt like, we'll just throw everything in this one folder.
Yeah, I mean, games that have like Bloodborne is a game where it like tells you the story through the items you find. Like all of them have cool descriptions and like how you use them. And like I saw a little bit of that in Castlevania, but it just wasn't quite there. Like, oh, there's like the Alucard family set. Like that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And there's like there's definitely some stuff going on that like really does do some world building. But
It's cool to
there's,
have a weapon in your storage that is especially strong versus holy. It's cool to have like the Morgan Mill or whatever it's called to be like, I'm going to need that. It just sucks to find it. And it also sucks that every other weapon is useless. That's the problem. That's where they missed. Like they almost got it. But yeah. What about you, Teddy? What age the worst?
I think I pretty much summed it up.
The saving and stuff, or
yeah, I do want to one thing. Like I just played Hollow Knight like a few months ago, which is is this game basically. But modern. And one thing they have is like when you're near someone who has a map of the area, you start to like find he's like left behind like basically little breadcrumbs. He's like a beetle, and like beetle wings are around, and there are like more and more beetle wings if you like get closer and closer to him. In the like if you go to a new room, like there'll be a few more beetle wings, like if you're getting hotter and hotter, and then eventually you'll like find him. Or if there's like the save points are benches in the game, and like you just sit down on a bench, and there will be like street signs that say like bench this way, and go to this. And if there's like just like a little bit of telegraphing like that, I think really goes a long way, because you're like, okay, I am close to a save point. I just need to find it before I go to the boss.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I see.
And this felt just like a little too, like it. You're right. It didn't hold your hand, but it just kind of sucked.
Yeah, yeah. Just it didn't hold your hand, but it didn't. I don't know. Kiss your hand either.
My what aged the worst was, I think that it's a little broad, but it just felt like there were a lot of interesting things that they just didn't really excel at, or like the game doesn't really excel in. Like there are a ton of enemies, a lot of variations, but most of them are pretty forgettable. And some of them are really cool, but like it was just I wasn't like every time I encounter an enemy I was like, whoa.
Right.
And then there are a lot of items, but most of them are pretty forgettable. There are a lot of bosses. All of them are pretty forgettable, basically.
Yeah.
There's some cool backgrounds and cool rooms, like the clock hallways and the marble galley and stuff, and the library and a couple other places. But I don't know. I found for the most part it was kind of forgettable. So yeah, I just felt like they threw a ton of stuff at the wall, and it was a lot. I mean, it's cool. I don't want to make it sound like I hated it, but I wasn't really wowed by any one of these areas, which I feel like some of these other older games that that Teddy mentioned at the beginning definitely have something that was just like, wow. Like even now you can really appreciate how they just perfected this one mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just a couple other things I have here is like that I do kind of like the badness of it, but like the voice acting, we're playing the PS4 remake, so like it is redone voice acting, but I listened to the original as well, a few scenes, and it's
Which should you prefer?
I mean, I think the original just because it's like funnier. Like this is like they redid it, and it sounds there's like kind of like a little bit of reverb on all of it. It's like it sounds really fake.
I can't believe you guys didn't do it in Japanese. Like that was one of the first things I did, and it just made the game so much more enjoyable.
You have to do it in like you have to do it like one layer up. You can't be in Symphony of the Night and put it in Japanese, right? Don't you have to? I
think you can. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you have to do it for like the whole collection.
No, I think it's just like you press pause and it's like in the system settings.
And I wish I had, because the re-record. I can't believe they re-recorded the voices, because it does not sound like it's been redone.
If anyone hasn't played it yet and you're still listening to the podcast, I definitely recommend Japanese. It's just so much better. Like I did listen to certain parts in English. When you defeat Dracula, the very final boss or whatever, it's so cheesy in English, but in Japanese it's actually like very emotional. Like one of the developers said like he cried when he first heard that part acted out, and you listen to Japanese and it's like deep and like it's good, and the English one is just so awful,
Well, voice acting just like it wasn't. I mean, I often say like, or I'm like, I think when we watch like foreign movies, people are like, oh, these actors are good and stuff. Like, oh, everyone's good in Parasite, and it's like, can you really tell? Like, you can't. I feel like you're really just saying the writing is good. Like, I feel like everyone just seems like a pretty good actor in foreign movies.
Yeah, maybe the voice acting is just as bad in Japanese. Yeah, that's fair.
But like, if this was just text, it would have been great, right?
Yes,
like all that stuff would have been just like fine. You would have put your own spin on it.
Yes.
Like it wouldn't have been awesome, but you could have at least been forgettable. Like so many of the voice lines, I was just like, what? And like I think maybe yes, play it in Japanese, but also like we are kind of talking about this as a piece of history as well, right?
That's
it's
true.
like most people did play it in English. the opening, also the most famous scene isn't in the PS4 remake. I don't know if you read about this.
Which one is it?
Like, it's Dracula, when Richter goes to and encounters Dracula.
The very first thing in the game, yeah.
He says, Dracula says, "What is a man? A miserable pile of secrets."
That's sick.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. But enough talk. Have at you.
And it's awesome. And in this, he's like, humanity is hatred and lies.
He says, like, what is man, but then he doesn't say that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I saw that. I've seen that screenshot so many times, and I was so excited, and it never happened in the game. And I was like,
that's
what?
Awful.
And they took it out. Which, like, I think Konami licensed this out or something, this, like, remake. Like, Konami, I think we should say, is, like, one of the worst companies ever. Like, they fired Hideo Kojima from Metal Gear Solid, so I'll never forgive them. But also...
They can make their casino machines.
Yeah, so they can just do pachinko and gotcha stuff. But they also, like... I'll put it in show notes, but they have, like, horrible worker complaints. Like Kotaku wrote a bunch of exposés about it. It was like working in, like, a prison. They have, like, video cameras that monitor what everybody does and stuff.
Wow. That's a bummer.
Yeah, and, like, I think it wasn't Resident Evil. It was some other PlayStation remake they did in-house, and it was, like, a disaster. Like, they just don't do a good job with this shit.
Gotcha. Good to know. Good to know.
But there was one thing that I think they changed that wasn't in the original English version, but they put back in that matched the Japanese version, which is the game over screen, which is let us go out the evening for pleasure. The night is still young.
I saw that. Yeah. The game over sound and look is very memorable. It's like a brutal knife to the gut, like, just like, fuck, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And that line is also, like, really chilling.
Yeah.
But it's a mistranslation, I think, which it's supposed to be like, let us go out this evening. But I like let's go out the evening for pleasure.
This kind of transitions nicely because one of the things that I did like about the game that you reminded me of, Danny, with what you were just saying with What Age the Worst, is I think the aesthetic in general, and that's a really, like, wide net term, but I think the aesthetic in general, like, inspired so much of anime and video game art and video game music and just, like, pentagrams everywhere and, like, gothic stuff everywhere and, like, demons and gnarly, like, blood and guts. Like, the deaths are sometimes, like, really intense with some of the mobs and stuff. And I just think, like, you can see, like, the old Castlevanias before this one, you're just, like, a dude with a whip and, like, you're just, like, this dude. And this one, you're Alucard, and you're, like, you look like everyone's drawn, like, a deviant art version of Alucard, and he's just, like, flowing hair, like, beautiful higher level being, you know what I mean? And I just feel
right here behind us.
Yeah, look at us. So I do feel like that aged really well, and, like, you can see not necessarily the types of games that I play, but, like, shout out to my cousin who does draw these kind of things, like all of the Bayonetta and, like, all of those kind of things. I feel like pull so much from Castlevania.
Yeah, Androck wanted us to give a vote on if Alucard is hot or not, and obviously Alucard is super hot.
Stunning.
Yeah.
The way he sits, oh my god.
Yeah, just the hair, the cloak, the style. I mean, that's the style of this game is just phenomenal.
It's incredible.
Just, like, you just instantly feel it's sexy and dark, right? It is really sleek, like the way your cloak flows, the way your hair flows. It's just
Yeah, it's like I agree with what Danny was saying, where it's like much of the game is not memorable, but the parts that are, like I posted one of the just a picture with my phone on our Instagram account of just like this sick ass painting, and like yeah, it's pixel art and looks like it's 20 years old because it is 20 years old or whatever, but it's fucking sick. Like it's skeletons and hell and death and goth, and it's just like so cool. And a lot of that obviously has to do with the music, which we haven't even like mentioned yet.
Yeah, we had like what's our favorite background as a priming question, like what's your favorite background artwork, and like I couldn't pick one. Like everything there were so many cool things. Like all the stained glass looked fucking awesome.
So cool.
Like some of it was abstract, some of it like I kind of was like, is that like, are they sacrificing somebody? Like it's kind of lo-fi, like so I can't really tell. It just like made it like creep me out. I was like, is that what I think it is?
Like I feel like some of the stuff they wouldn't even have in modern games. You know, like crucifying his mom in The Nightmare.
Right.
Like that's like not okay, you know? But like I was like, this is so sick, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I actually thought a lot of the enemies were really cool and clever. I didn't love all of them, Danny, I agree with you, but I thought like there were enough really memorable ones. Like when you first encountered the Scarecrow, like the woman on the spike.
Oh, so cool.
I was
that
like,
might be the best one.
Yeah, I was like, this is so fucking good. And there were just a lot of ones that were like, or like the wolf that you first encounter. I was like, this looks so fucking good. Like that huge giant wolf.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, and there was a ton of variety. Like I didn't, I wasn't like, oh, I'm fighting the zombie over and over again, which I thought I was afraid I might do. Also, when I first killed the zombie and like blood just started like spraying out of him.
Yeah, the guys that like cut in half and blood spray. Yeah,
I was like, oh, this game's cool.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, totally. I had that exact moment. So
like this is kind of stupid. This is like, I get it. Like, okay, but then I was like, oh, like 12-year-old me would have been like, fuck yeah.
Totally. But yeah, I mean, so let's talk about the music. And we're like almost an hour in and we haven't brought up like what I'm sure many people consider like the best thing about the game or whatever. But I mean, what did you guys think of the music? Did it like live up to expectations?
Danny?
For the most part, yeah. The songs that were very good were the best songs in the game were incredible, I thought. I mean, I think it's hard. There's so many songs in the score, so some of them are in the soundtrack, so some of them are not going to be great. I think I have Festival of Servants, and I didn't think was that good. I also didn't like Crystal Teardrops, which is the one that plays in the ice underground area.
Oh, I kind of like that
one. Which I guess I didn't think it was. It's kind of like if I were reviewing it, I would say I didn't like it, but I did. It was very memorable and it was very video gamey.
Yes,
like I felt like I was in the fairy shop or what? No, what is it? The in Ocarina of Time, the harpy shop or whatever. You know?
Are you talking about like when you would go down in the hole where like the fairy would be, and she was like really creepy and gross, and she'd be like,
remember,
like the fairy well, like the fairy. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and she'd like spin around, and you're like, hey!
yes,
super
yes.
loud and stuff. Yeah. That's what it reminded me a lot of that, and I also a lot of the music reminded me of Kingdom Hearts. Like I was reminded of a lot of games that came after it, so it felt like I could feel the influences a lot. So overall, I think definitely one of the best parts of the game. Helps a lot. I may have complained about some of the specific look and feel of the game, but the overall setting and the music had a huge part of it. Was very well done and probably aged the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the choral piece, prayer, like when you're first in the cathedral.
That's like the first thing, right?
I don't think it's the first thing.
Oh, okay.
It's where you go to the
it's not.
confessional.
Requiem of the Gods. That
it's
track,
not
right?
that room.
I think it's called Prayer.
Yeah, there's a song called Prayer, and it's just choir. It's just people singing.
Oh, okay.
And like I've been going to a lot of like choral concerts and stuff, and I was like, this is like, I would love to see this performed live. Like this is like really good. Like not cheesy, like theatrical, like bombastic. It was artful and like kind of creepy, but not too much. And there was like a lot of good like period stuff. Like there was like I forget what actually what's one of our Drifted said that wood carving partita.
Great one.
Yeah, which is like that's like Bach, right?
It's
like
Bach. It's totally Bach.
It's just like this great harpsichord piece that was just awesome, and it just like felt, it was like, oh yeah, like I'm at a classical concert, like this is fucking cool.
Yeah. It's so cool that the game is one castle, one dungeon. There's not like levels, like people are used to, but the different rooms and areas are still so distinct. Like that is the library. Like that's what the library feels like and sounds like.
Yeah.
That color, that sort of like woodish color.
Yeah, like sepia tone, everything, right?
And that song have to be playing or I'm not in the library. And for me, my favorite room and song and all of that stuff is the Royal Chapel. I think that's where prayer plays. That's also where the confessional booth theme is. And that's where, or the confessional booth room. And that's also where Requiem for the Gods is, which was my initial pick for favorite song. It's sort of like reminded me of like the Rosemary's Baby theme and sort of Mozart's like famous Requiem. It's just like really beautiful. Yeah, exactly. Which everyone will recognize, even if you don't recognize it by name. But the one I picked for my favorite isn't even on the soundtrack. It is the confessional booth music when you're in that specific small room that does nothing and has no part to play in the game. It's just it's a 3-second loop, maybe 4-second loop, but it's such a weird, creepy room, which I went in and out of many times because I was trying to like figure it out. I thought there was like some puzzle to it. Sit here, sit there, like don't do this, attack, don't attack. But that music is like, I was talking to my friend last night about it, how it's like if someone sent me the confessional room loop and it was 10 hours long and they were like, this is the new like William Basinski disintegration tape loop, I'd be like, yeah, this is like a fucking masterpiece. Like that you can listen to it for an hour straight and feel many things. You can like commute to that on loop for an hour and you'll go like deep in your own consciousness, and it's a 3-second loop. It just totally, that room just totally like blew me away. And I think that was one of the first moments where I was like you said, with killing the bloody guy was like, this is cool. Like that room was one of the moments where I was like, this game is like special and different than other games. Like there's a fucking like vibe happening. There's more than the surface level of this game within this. And like the fact that there's this room with this music and this vibe like brought that out for me.
Yeah, I definitely felt periodically like I was like, oh, this game is smarter than I think it is.
Yes. Yeah. All the time.
And I remember when I went to the clock room, I was like, I'm gonna use the time spell in this clock room.
Yeah.
And I went and found it and came all the way back and died right before I got in it. And sorry, no, I didn't die. I picked up another spell and hadn't realized it. So I went in and like cast my spell and I threw like a dagger.
Threw a diamond
and I was
or
like,
something.
Fuck. And Madeline was like, what happened? And I was like, I just wasted like 20 minutes. And I also didn't know they dropped in specific places. Like I thought they just dropped randomly. And I was like, can you look it up and see if, like, should I do this all again? I was like, can you look up if I can cast the time spell in this room? And she was like, the game doesn't seem that smart. Like, I don't think that's a thing. And I was like, could you just look it up? And she looked it up. Because I just like had to know. I was like, I'm not going to try this again. Because I did it on a lark anyway.
Yeah.
And it does something, right? It opens up that one area. And like I was like, I bet, like they knew that, right? Like they knew you were going to think of that or thought you might. And like you don't need it. In fact, I had already, all the gear I found was under my current level anyway. But I was like very validated by that.
There's side note, like I also love that. And in the first castle especially, I loved finding like the, breaking the wall and finding little secrets. I found the jewel knuckles by like 1 in a billion random chance by like standing in this area and yelling into my phone into a voice note, and then an invisible like elevator took me down to the jewel knuckles. It was insane. But the other side of that coin is I became so obsessed with being like completionist that in the reverse castle, I was like swinging my weapon at every wall.
Yeah.
I was like, if there was a square in the middle of the sky that wasn't explored, so it was a black square on my map, I would take 20 minutes to go out of my way to clear that square, which is not healthy and overall bad, but it teaches you to do that because you do get the satisfaction of finding the moments like the first time through, you know what I mean? And so there is like a negative side to that I think a better game could execute a more meaningful something out of that without making like literally driving you crazy that you have to swing your weapon at every wall or you're gonna miss like the big thing.
Right. Well, it's like the time spell is you figured it out and you did it once and there it is. There's your eureka moment.
Yeah.
Like running through the whole game hitting every wall is not fun, right?
It's
like
not fun.
That's not what you should be doing.
Yeah. But
Chalice dungeons in Bloodborne.
Yeah, like those. How so? Do you?
I think aren't there fake walls that you have to hit to reveal in the Chalice dungeons?
Oh, there are. Yeah, there are. Yeah, and like,
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, I think those are not necessary, but they are kind of like fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a small part of the game, right? The Chalice dungeons are not the game,
right?
So it's it's not. It's just
there's a whole other thing with that. Also, like you can leave notes to other players, and you can be like, "There's a hidden wall here." So like every time there's a hidden wall in the game, there's a note on the ground that says, "There's a hidden wall." but sometimes
Or it
people
says,
leave it in
like,
areas that
Or
look,
it's
there
like Kane
isn't
will
one?
reveal.
yeah, and there isn't one, and you just like hit a wall. And it's just, like,
Trolls.
yeah. There's like, and you're like, or it'll be like no hidden wall here. There's like some
Yeah,
good stuff with
yeah.
it. So I think that's
But yeah, that's a big tangent from a soundtrack that clearly we all really liked. And
Yeah.
oh yeah, we were talking
like-
about the music.
well, at some point I was in the last 20 minutes. I don't even know. But what I was going to say is, like, earlier I mentioned that, like, the game itself has so many genres in it. You know, there's like RPG elements and puzzle and platformer and action and, you know, hack and slash and all that stuff. The range of genres in the soundtrack is even wider. Like, it has choral, it has hymns, it has requiems, it has like hair metal and like huge double harmony guitar riffs, and it has funk and jazz and acid jazz, and it's just like got everything. They just gave Michiro Yamane and just said, like, do what you want, and she just went wild and like killed it and did the soundtrack for like every game following. So
Yeah, so Drifted also mentioned
Wandering Ghosts, right?
Wandering Ghost, which like is a good song, but like
Yeah.
shouldn't be in this game in my opinion.
Oh, really? See,
Yeah.
I liked the range. Like, It-
Like groovy jazz like shouldn't be in the Coliseum. It shouldn't be in Dracula's castle. Like that to
That's
me
fair.
was like that was like a bridge to that's not the right expression, but it was just like it was too
too outside of the core aesthetic,
yeah. Like
right?
the metal like was kind of funny but like and kind of weird, but
It
like
was
also
weird.
kind of
It-
fit
It was weird.
It's like the game is kind of metal also, right?
Yeah, true.
And there's like some weirdness and quirkiness to the game, so I do think it was fine. But this like it was like almost like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something.
Yeah.
I was like, and
Which-
it wasn't like the room was like the Coliseum. It wasn't like I don't know, like the lounge or something like that.
Right.
So yeah, it really when I first heard it really rubbed me the wrong way.
Interesting.
I was like, also, I should mention Mozart. I found out recently from Alon that Mozart wrote only like the first like 8 bars of Lacrimosa of his Requiem
Oh,
and died, and then it was finished by somebody else.
wow. And
Yeah.
that's like the official, like, one person finish it, and that's
Yeah.
the version. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like Mozart's Lacrimosa is somebody else finished it, and yeah, I don't know. He's awesome, but just a little bit of trivia for you
Yeah,
guys.
that's
out there.
good. That's good
Yeah.
trivia.
Yeah.
I will say wood carving partita was great. I really liked the marble gallery theme also.
good. Yeah, really good.
Reminded me a lot of the I guess it's the Song of Storms in Ocarina of Time.
Mhm.
When you're in that windmill. And
The best Ocarina song also.
Yes, definitely.
Damn, I gotta go listen to that right after this.
Yeah. I like set up all my Smash Bros games to play like that song and Gerudo Valley only. Then Dracula Castle I also have on here. I loved that song. But yeah, I agree. This is definitely an area where there's a ton of music, ton of variation.
Yeah, it's wild.
And basically everything stuck, So that was great.
Love it.
So just like best moments. Do you wanna do? Did we do best mob? I guess we said scare.
Oh, we
Scarecrow.
did best boss. The Scarecrow was sick.
Yeah.
The Flea Man was really funny, especially
Flea Man.
because of his name.
Flying
Yeah,
one.
that's what I was gonna say. The two funniest parts are his name, which is Flea Man, and then the evolution of it's still just Flea Man, but there's one where he has like an axe and armor, and there's one where he's riding a bird, and there's one where he's riding a dragon, but it's still just Flea Man, which is funny.
Yeah.
And there's one that wasn't really a memorable mob, but it's called Sniper of Goth, and I was just like, that's sick.
Oh, yeah. Really good.
Really
Yeah,
good.
it comes down as like an arrow and then
it
materializes.
comes down. Yeah, exactly.
That was a good enemy. But by that point, I was just deleting everybody in one shot.
Totally.
I loved the Skelerang. I love that he's like chilling out on the wall and then he wakes up.
Oh yeah, and throws the two. Yeah.
That is a really
and
good
it forced
one.
you to like jump. I really liked him, but that part, there's one part where there's like 5 of them on a staircase, and it's so annoying. So like that part, I was like, I have to go so fast to beat, so I don't keep getting smacked by them before I can get to them. And I also really like I didn't write down the actual name, but because it was before I got that relic, but the crocodile lady.
In the long hallway.
Really long hallway.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
That's
I
one of
don't
those-
think I ever took damage from.
No, that's what I was
any
gonna say.
point,
They're
but it was
really
so
squishy and
funny.
weak, but they like are huge and intense looking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, this is one of those things that I really appreciate where, like, you first fight it and you're like, oh, it's a giant crocodile or whatever. And then, like, your third one, you're like, wait, it's like a centaur with like a sexy woman on the back. like, oh, this is like a very different creature than I thought it was. Like, what the fuck is going
art
on?
is wild.
Yeah.
It's so sick, to be honest. Like, it's so cool.
Salem Witch, also really good.
Yes.
Yeah, really good. Really good.
Although, like, I should mention that those aren't real, so I kind of feel bad for
True.
those young girls who got
There was
burned.
one thing that I did forget to mention, which was also did you guys get the relic that turned the mist into like a poisonous gas cloud?
Yeah.
It's so OP.
I never used it on an enemy.
When it became later stages of the game and I was just running through shit as fast as possible, you're unhittable and you just do AoE damage to everything. And you can hold it for as long as you want once you get I believe it's called Power of the Mist.
Uh-huh.
So, like, for example, Galamoth I mentioned earlier, that's where you get it, I think, so you can't use it on him. But you could just hold L and R and just sit on his head until he dies. And you can just do that for every enemy in any room. So there were like rooms that were annoying to get through where I wanted like a weapon at the back of it or an item or something. And I would just poison mist through the entire mob and just like kill everything AoE and I'm immaterial, can't be touched. Just like so funny.
There's a combo with the shield rod and Alucard shield where if you activate the ability, like left, right, or whatever, circle or something, I don't know, or if you hit square and circle at the same time, it activates the shield, which does, if you're shielding, if it makes contact with an enemy, it heals you and does damage on contact.
It does 250 damage per frame.
Is that really?
I watched a full speed run. 250 per frame. He kills every boss in like less than a second.
Yeah.
He just stands right, point blank, shields, dead. It's just like 250, 250, 250, 250. It's
yeah,
just
I don't know what.
Oh my
it
God.
must have been a mistake or something, but it
it's just
breaks
one of
the
those
game
things
completely.
where they say shield rod, it's good with a shield, and you're like, okay, cool, like this could be cool, but then you never use it, have no idea how to activate it, have no idea. It takes 20 years until you watch a speed run on YouTube until you're like, oh, wow, that's insane. That's how I just beat the whole game in a second. Like
That's funny 'cause
Dracula.
I use the shield rod all the time.
Dracula, he just...
You did, Danny?
Oh, wow, interesting.
I didn't know about the spell, but you get a defense and attack bonus when they're equipped at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sick.
So I like
you're a
basically
pro.
anytime I got another weapon, I was like, my attack goes up 2, but my defense goes down like 5. So
Yeah.
I'm good. But wow,
That's
with the
awesome.
spell,
That's
that's pretty
great.
insane.
Yeah, you should like go try it. It's I did it on a couple like fights after
Well,
I beat the game.
That there is still, like, you joked to me right before we started recording that you also beat the game as Richter and Maria, which it tells you after you beat the whole game that you can do that. It's like enter Richter, enter Maria in the thing, and you can play as them. But like, not as a joke, I kind of want to. And then like, yeah, I kind of want to try the shield spell. I kind of want to try to wave dash with the shield animation cancel like the speedrunners do. Like there's so much to the game where I'm like, I actually do kind of want to do that. Like, and there's definitely many secrets that like I still didn't figure out how to do, and the familiars, I never turned them on and don't know what they do. And because you get to a point where you're just like, I just want to fucking beat this. I just want to fucking beat this. But there's actually like so much in the game.
Yeah.
Maria's attack, I just played as her for a little while. She just throws an owl that goes out and comes back to her. I was like, this is fucking awesome.
Sick.
But yeah, I mean, like, this is the problem with the replay. Like, what's good, and actually, I'll talk about this a little bit more, but is like the exploration and like the feeling of the game, and like the tight gameplay loop of like the combat isn't. So like, whereas in like Bloodborne and Dark Souls, like a new weapon build changes so much of that fun and interesting part of the game. This, you're going to be like, well, I'm overpowered after the third boss, and it doesn't matter that all this is different because I just walk up to them and kill them in a few set hits anyway, right? And it's too bad because like there obviously is cool shit here. Like there, like Danny just said, like I didn't know about the shield rod.
Yeah,
I know about like the exploit, but I don't know about the like I never used a shield ever in the entire game.
Yeah, I never used shield.
So
shield is absolutely useless.
Yeah. Any like decently strong attack, it just goes flying and you still get knocked back.
Yeah, that happened as like the first time I blocked a boss. I was like, oh, I'll block the boss, and it just like launched and I took damage. I was like, well, I guess I'm never using this again.
Just gonna equip the other dagger that I have and melee it to death.
Yeah.
Are we gonna cover the progression at any point? Like, is that a talking point coming up?
What progression of
it is
like,
now?
Yeah,
do it, dude.
Let's
Take us there.
it.
Well, this is I already had this written down, but Comrade Hack in Discord asked or mentioned the power progression, how you start off so weak and slow, but by the end you feel invincible and fast. Which I think we have talked about it a little bit, but honestly, the thing that made it the most the thing that made it hardest for me to like keep playing the game is, it just like all of a sudden everyone was doing 1 damage to me and I was killing everything in 1 or 2 hits. And I was like, what am I doing? Literally like the entire game was just running around for like 40 minutes, maybe. It was like a good match of difficulty. And then all of a sudden I was in the inverted castle and a bunch of enemies weren't doing any damage. And then I walked into a room and there were a bunch of guys that did like 80 damage per hit and didn't take any damage. I was like, what? Like, this is not like, oh, now I'm going to go grind. It's like, no, you've already established that's not how this game works. I don't know. I was just like not. I found it to be real. That was another big problem I had. But it was. I mean, it did feel really good sometimes to just be, Alucard, god of the castle, running around. Yeah.
Right. I think I described to you, Alon, like difficulty spike as like a sine wave, like that's how I feel like good games like this are. Like as you get better, like you encounter new stuff, and then it gets harder again, and then you learn it, or you get better here, and then it gets easier, and then it goes back up. And like, this is like all over the place. It's like so jagged, and it seems like, oh, I'm just not going to go this way because it's like absolutely sucks, or it's impossible, like hilariously easy. And it's too bad because I do feel like in the beginning of the game I was really forced to like. I mean, I think everything we've talked about is this progression issue.
That's what I was going to say. The beginning of the game, I mentioned earlier, it's scary. You die a couple times. Everything does a ton of damage. You don't do any damage. And even the fighting at that point in the game is kind of interesting, right? Because it's more like a puzzle than it is like a fight. It's like I need to figure out exactly how they attack and when they attack, and they just keep repeating it. They're simple, including the bosses, and then like do that perfectly so I don't take damage and die. But yeah, then you just destroy everything for a long time. I kind of liked that the reverse castle was like, oh, this is hard again, like, and I have to try and pay attention again. But at the same time, what I wrote down for my best moment of the game was I was at like 85%, or I should say 185% through the second castle, and I was an unstoppable god and couldn't take damage and killed everything instantly. And I was so balls deep in the game at that point that I could look at the map and be like, oh, I have to go exactly there and then exactly there, and Dracula's going to be there, and I'm going to beat the game. Yeah. Like, and that was my favorite moment when I was just like, nothing can stop me from beating the game right now. I was like, I know I have to clear that exact area. I remember that area from the upside down other castle, and then I know I'm gonna have to go to the clock room, and then I know I'm gonna kill Dracula, and I'm gonna beat the fucking game. So like, you know,
yeah. So I think what you're getting at, and like I kind of touched on before, is like the game feels really good when you open up the castle, when you get get bat form, right? When you get mist, you're like, oh, now I
double jump.
Yeah, right. You've like, yeah, that was so cool, right? It was like, I feel so much more powerful in a way that the game has limited me, and now I am like, unlike this other stuff where it just felt like cheesy the way we progressed. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, now I can just spam all attacks and it doesn't matter if I take 1 damage.
Yeah.
Like it really felt like like every time where it started to get a little stale, like the castle opened up more. Yeah. And that was, and like you're saying also, like your power as a character was kind of meaningless, but like you're like, oh, I know this area, like I know where Dracula is, and like getting the castle wired as like as a gameplay element was really fun.
I think that was Luke's question or comment right in the Discord, was like, what do you think about like memorizing the map and stuff like that? And yeah, that was actually like an incredible moment, you know, like when I felt like, oh, I know where all these portals go, I know where I have to go, everything's unlocked, I'm the master of this castle, not Dracula, you know? Like, that's what it actually feels like.
Right. And that's the upside down castle is really good vessel for that. And it's like not a good vessel for like the room has interesting nuance and the combat is fun. It's like, actually, no, I don't want to spend any time in here because
Yeah, exactly.
But I do, like I'm piecing together this whole thing, and that's really sweet.
Yeah, it's like No, I think we're nailing that part of the game, right? Because you level up all the time, but it doesn't do anything. Like, I don't even know. Maybe it makes your strength go up 1 or something, or your total HP, not your hearts, because hearts aren't health in this game. Your HP max, maybe it goes up a little or something. The first game in human history where hearts equal your mana, and your HP is something that you only get from food that you also throw on the floor.
Mana.
And you also have different mana. That goes up when you save. I don't know, and
you can't use it for the first like hour of the game.
Yes. Well, unless you know the spells that are unknowable.
No, I think you have to buy them. You don't have any to start. I was like, how do I use all this stuff in my HUD?
You do, because I triggered exactly 2 through my entire run in the game accidentally, and I didn't buy them. But they're
you do find some eventually.
Oh, okay. So maybe I found them and didn't know.
Yeah, but when you start, you don't have any spells.
Oh my god. But yeah, so fuck, what was I saying?
Leveling up, you were saying
like, you do level so they
up.
add like RPG elements where you level up, but it doesn't actually like do anything, and I started with like, I'm really happy I played it. I really do think it's a very good and very important game, and it's good that we did a podcast about it, but like just tighten the RPG stuff up, like tighten the combat up, you know, like tighten the saving up, and it's like the perfect game. You know, it's like that close. It's actually that close, but it just misses on a few things.
Yeah, my favorite moment in the game was when you get the spike breaker armor and you walk over the spikes.
Yes.
Like the sound it makes, the crunch.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm destroying this castle. Also, like I had a catastrophic failure, as I was saying, like on those spikes. I was like, fuck you, I'm walking over all these spikes. Like I literally like when it got to areas, I'm like, I'm gonna destroy every single spike in this area. Like I'm destroying it all. I'm never gonna take damage.
So
I'm just like, and yeah, it was like, yeah, fuck this castle. Like I own it.
Yeah, fuck it. Awesome.
Did you guys have best moments? I guess you did, Alon.
I did mine. What about you, Danny?
Yeah.
That's a no.
I had a lot of worse moments. No.
Stopping playing.
Not really. They weren't limited to like what was happening in the game. So like in the clock room, similar to what you were talking about with Madeline, Molly was watching me play, and I was explaining that I was trying to figure out how to get the other statue to move out of the way. And we were convinced that like at this particular time on the clock, it would open.
I had that too.
We set a timer on our phone, and then we went and did something, and then we came back, and we were like so psyched, and then it hit like noon or midnight, and nothing happened. It's like, no. But no, I think my favorite moment was probably the cutscene before the succubus fight with Lisa.
Yeah, the nightmare.
With her mom. Yeah, the nightmare.
That was really cool. Also, like just getting sucked into a whole new part of the game briefly, like the nightmare.
Seeing the save room with the purple, and you're like,
right.
You know, it's established that like you might just die and lose all your progress. Like that's a thing in the game. So you see that, and you're like, like, do I save? Like, I don't know, you know?
Oh my God. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, that's how you enter the nightmare where your mom then gets crucified. It's like, holy shit.
How did you guys figure out how to save? Did you have to look it up?
No.
I did, because I walked into that room and was like, I don't know what that thing is, and then left. I hit it a couple times and I left.
I saved the first time I was in there by just, I guess, luckily, like hitting up. But then, Danny, we texted while we were like in the beginnings of the game. Like I then lost progress many times because I tried using the quick save function, which just does literally nothing except exit the game. And I tried like all this other shit and beat bosses and got to the outer wall, and I just kept not saving and losing everything. I was like going crazy, you know? And then I realized like, oh, I have to backtrack after I beat those bosses and save at the one save point that I've discovered, you know? And it's like, holy shit, what the hell is this? But
yeah, a quick save feature that's not explained and broken is
that's a bad feature. Yeah. It's a bug, not a feature.
Did you guys have favorite lines from the game?
The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing.
Yes.
After you beat the game.
Little out of place in the conversation.
Yeah, it's just like, let's take famous quotes and
I just read that and was like, tight. Yeah. What about you?
I love when Richter is Lord of the Castle and you fight him. Everything he says, like, Dracula only rises once a century. Only one chance for a Belmont to rise. It's just like so funny.
So dramatic.
Yeah.
Or
Maria saying like, "You're better than I thought."
I love that the priest is called Shaft. Also, just
Shaft. Yeah.
So good. I love the librarian going, young master Alucard.
It's funny. It's very funny to me that I have all of those in Japanese in my head.
Yeah.
Like I just kept hearing people say Alucardo, you know, and I'm just like, yo, that's me. That's the one word I understood.
I guess the first librarian meeting when he's like, I can't help you unless you can pay or whatever.
Yeah, you're like, of course there's compensation, and he's like, oh, I'll listen. It's like, that was easy.
Yeah, I think
that's most of what I had written down. Oh, I did have my half-ass internet research stuff. According to Wikipedia, the development team used inspiration from The Legend of Zelda to make most of the castle areas initially inaccessible to the player. The player would gradually obtain items and abilities that progressively opened up the castle. Their idea was to reward exploration while retaining the hack and slash action of the previous game. So it's something that we just like naturally felt and covered, which I thought was cool. And then also, their primary motivation for the abrupt design change from previous Castlevanias was the sight of dozens of Castlevania games in bargain bins in Japanese video game stores. Linear Castlevania games offered limited replay value after completion. And so that's where they inspired the idea of like not only non-linear, but beat Richter, then beat Richter with the holy glasses, then unlock another castle, then beat Shaft, then beat your like they wanted people to like dive in and like replay the game and like love the game and stuff like that, which I thought was also cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I mean, I imagine if I had this game when it came out, I would have just beaten the shit out of it. Like,
I don't
no
know.
question.
I don't know if I would have.
I think
Teddy would have.
Yeah.
Teddy would have.
I
like
believe
the one.
you.
No, I mean it's just like you had a game like every like 4 months, right? When
that's
you were
true.
that age.
That's
and
true.
And it'd be like there'd be a reason to.
I covered this on the Half-Life episode, but I had like a moment in time where I stopped playing games and I only played and competed in online competitive games. So maybe if I had gotten it before then, yes, but like there was a moment in time where definitely wouldn't have even played it. So
yeah. No, I mean I wouldn't do it now. I'm not going to do it now, right?
Exactly.
I also have written here the UI very Final Fantasy.
Click,
and
yeah.
And the map, the Super Smash Bros. Brawl campaign map is like an exact clone of it and has teleporters and stuff.
Oh, funny.
Oh, interesting.
Which I feel like I'm the only person who really played the Brawl campaign.
I had no idea there even was one.
I played so much of it. And then I have... I love that the sunglasses give you an intelligence reduction. It's -1 intelligence putting on the sunglasses.
So good. I didn't even notice that.
Platforming. Oh, one thing I really liked was platforming between screens. I thought it was cool when it was just like a fun little chance to do something cool where it's like, oh, I'll save my double jump so I can actually make it to the next platform and stuff.
Yeah, that was cool.
But that's pretty much everything I've written down. I also love the salt sub weapon. The icon
Salt
is
Bay.
like salt Bay. That's what I've written down.
Yeah, it's also the like Italian like emoji. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Molto
good.
bene.
Yeah, exactly.
I also want to say the stair knight, the knight that's like positioned on the stairs, that like walks up and down the stairs like at an angle. He's kind of like chilling on the. It's like the first long staircase on the left side of the castle. And there's like all the urns up.
Yes,
there's
yeah.
The knight's like kind of like he's not like walking on the stairs
down.
Yeah, I like really like that art style. I was like, oh, this is kind of funny. Like the knight like just chilling on the stairs.
I liked the directional fighting.
Yeah.
You know, that felt like advanced at the time to me, you know, where like, okay, you can't hit this guy by like swinging down, and you can't even swing up. Like up attack does something different. You have to like jump, change your angle, dodge something, hit him. You know, there were like aspects. Again, we've covered so much. It seems like our conclusion is almost like there are so many good aspects, but a lot of them were not like followed through, or after you get through the initial whatever it is, it didn't continue evolving or something like that, which again, like we've talked a lot about the fighting, but there were moments where I was like, it's cool that I don't want to use the jeweled knuckles now because this sword has better range, even though the jeweled knuckles is strong, right? And that feels like a Bloodborne thing that you were describing, right? But that ends very quickly once you just get like the best sword that attacks fast and has max range, and you just never need to change it again. So yeah,
I was reading about like the other Castlevanias like that are in 3D that they like released later, and they apparently aren't very good. And I was like, oh, I wonder when they're going to make a new one. This seems like a really like successful series. Konami probably won't because they're fucking terrible, but they and then I was like, oh, and I was like, I kind of want to play them. Like, I bet they'd be good. And then I was like, oh, they exist, and it's Bloodborne, it's Dark Souls, it's Hollow Knight. Like this game really did a lot of work.
Right.
And then other people just have perfected it since then.
Yeah, we hands look like this, so hers can look like this.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing that we've gone this far and haven't mentioned the words like non-linear, Metroidvania, open world, but like those are cornerstones of like what video games are now.
Yeah.
Right.
And like basically Super Metroid and Castlevania Symphony of the Night are the reason they exist.
Yeah, it is. It was so awesome to play such a clearly important, like seminal work in the genre that I literally is my favorite genre, and also not liking it that much, but like getting to see it really was, awesome. And one thing I do want to say is like, Alon, you mentioned it's like watching Citizen Kane, like kind of hard, but like artsy, and you're glad you did it. If you go back and like watch, or personally, like if you go watch a Hitchcock movie, or like Woody Allen movies, like or Hitchcock's old, right? Like it's funny, it's exciting, it's well written, the acting's good, and like when I first watched my first Hitchcock movie, like Rear Window, I was like, oh, this is fucking like good. I thought it was gonna be like
hard to watch,
like boring or something, and like this, even though it did a lot of stuff to get us forward, like I still go back to like, GoldenEye, Final Fantasy VII, Mario 64. These are all games that like obviously are dated, but you go back and play and just are so awesome. And still like what they're doing is like they did it really, like even Super Mario like World, right? Yeah. Even an older game, like it's a platformer, it's cool, like it's dialed in. And this game, they took a lot of chances, I think, and it's cool that they did it, but it's not, they just didn't nail it. But that's okay, because it was fun. We
got a lot out of it, and we got a fucking hour and a half podcast out of it too.
Cool.
Sweet. What are we gonna play next time? Don't know yet, I guess. Well, I'd love to add that in post.
Yeah, we're going to have to add Microsoft Sam saying that.
Yeah, I'm definitely using that again, by the way, the text-to-speech.
Good. Yeah. Everyone, please join our Discord.
Yes.
That's where we'll do most of our hanging out, like while we were playing the game, when we were talking in there. We're still kind of figuring out what it's going to be. But definitely like a place to hang out and talk about the games we're playing. And also we want it to like be a community of gamers who like can come, chill and shoot the shit. So like please come in there and tell us how we're stupid for not liking Symphony of the Night. I'd be very curious for everyone's feedback, and also we'll be there for the next one as well when we play Super Metroid Prime.
Whatever we play. No, we're not doing that next. We're not doing that next. We need to change our pace.
Forward.
Yeah, we need to change our pace.
We're going to play Battlefield 4.
We're playing just COD Warzone.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So this game sucks. And all right, guys. Good job.
Yeah. Great sesh.
Great sesh.
Good game.
Good game. Bye.
On next month's episode, we will be playing the 2016 Doom reboot called Doom. Happy gaming.